Hello. Today I want to talk to you about feeling bad. Elden Ring Nightreign released on May 30th, 2025. It is maybe the most fun game I have ever played. The design of quick adrenaline bursts and dopamine hits, of getting a build that comes together and snowballs into a wild success or tragic failure, is so incredibly compelling that I could probably play this game forever. The design of clear the starting camp to hit level 2, then a small camp for level 3 and a weapon, then an Everjail for level 5, and then castle for 9 by the end of the first night, all while collecting weapons and perks that help you deal more damage and survive longer. It's such a satisfying experience. Do you, as a dexterity character, hold on to the club in case you encounter Crystalian, who can only be damaged after being stance broken? Or do you just swap to your fists and use the kick to break it? Do you keep a holy damage weapon when you're fighting a lightning weak boss in case you encounter a moose or a deathbird? Those moments when the only lightning damage weapon you'd have as Duchess is the Giant Crusher, and your teammate has 3-barred halfway through the fight, and yet you still get the clutch? Peak. Getting a victory after a terrible run feels great, and failing a run after a great setup can still sometimes feel alright too. Duchess just feels so good to play with her quick dodge, attacking between dodges. It's that bloodborne rush. I absolutely love this game. I think that, depending on the day, Dreadlord might be the greatest boss that FromSoft has ever made. Others, I'll give it to Rolana, but his combination of being easy to read and hits like a truck, but he has timing windows with enough time to heal or cast high damage spells make him feel so balanced. The fact that these bosses function both as solo fights and group fights is amazing. Libra going from the hardest boss in the game to one I'm clearing in less than 34 minutes feels so good. If I was asked to pick my top 4 Souls games, it would be Elden Ring, Bloodborne, Demon's Souls, and Nightreign. I couldn't order them because Demon's Souls sucks as much as it rocks, and Nightreign is just a very different experience. Nightreign boils down the progression dopamine kick of a Souls game and gives it to you in bite-sized pieces. It doesn't have that one more turn that games like Civilization or Terraria, or, even Elden Ring have. So, I can just pick it up and put it down. I just want to add that since I finished the script, I have since got a hitless run on Everdark Gladius and my fastest ever kill on Yolster, and I'm sad I was not capturing footage because I thought I was done. One part of the game which I haven't mentioned yet is that normally during a match, one person will take over the job of mapping. That person is me, 99% of the time since my very first match. The mapper has to guess what the level and skill of the team is enough to best pick a rewards to time spent. This game I know incredibly well to the point of knowing some seeds by heart, such as the Libra Madness Camp Deathbird Night 2 boss seed, or the Caligo Crater Walking Mausoleum. I know them almost instantly. I know this game like I know the city I live in. I know which areas of the map are high density for runes. I know how to judge priority off of elevation. I know this game so incredibly well that this high intensity game is not high stress. I have different builds dependent on which boss we are facing. I've switched from Everjail to Night Invaders, and I've started doing Night Invaders at level 2 or 3 where I would have skipped them back before playing in the depths. I've learned how to, with one glance, find the power in Rotted Woods. It's super easy. I don't know why people still use the camp in Depth 4 to find the power. And starting to think that everything I've told you here is maybe a bad sign. That, maybe someone who's employed shouldn't know a game this well. As I'm writing this essay, it is 2/22/2026, and I have not yet quit playing Nightreign. I've told myself that I'll only play Nightreign 2 days per week, and I cannot let those 2 days both be over the weekend. 379 hours in it. Or 16 full days. The game has only been out for 9 months, but it is already my most played game on Steam, surpassing Terraria, by 35 hours, which I had previously called my addiction game. I could excuse these hours somewhat due to the fact that a lot of it was spent when I was playing with a friend, and so it's a social activity, and therefore it's not a problem, right? When Nightreign released, I got my first victory with friends, and my next 7 with randos. Then the Everdark variants released. I got the first 4 of them on my first try, only needing second and beyond temps on Caligo, Libra, and Tricephalos. Then everything was done, and I had no reason to keep playing. But I wasn't done playing. I enjoyed playing the game so much I decided to speedrun it. I wanted to beat every boss with a time of less than 34 minutes with randos. It was a fun challenge to see how fast I could beat this with completely random people online who didn't know that I was doing this. Then Deep of the Night came out. Playing Deep of the Night was not fun at first, but around that time I'd just convinced a friend to go through the game with me. When he first streamed himself playing the tutorial for me, I regretted having him play this game with me. I was like, oh, I should ask this guy just go and refund it. But we got our first victory, and then our second victory was against Folger, and it took 1 attempt. Then we cleared all the bosses, then we cleared all the Everdarks, and then the DLC, and then we cleared the enhanced balancers. We only needed 1 attempt of the balancers boss fight itself, though we did need several attempts to get to the balancers. So, with nothing else to do, we started playing Deep of the Night. We climbed to rank 3, and we get caught falling between rank 3 and 2 and 3 and 2. We stay there for a few weeks, and I realize something. I am stuck. Not in the context of the game, but that this game has gotten me stuck. I have found something comfortable to turn to after work. Something to turn my brain off after a long day. Something that has just killed my output for art. Look at the past few months of my channel, it's dead. This game has stopped me from trying new games. I have downloaded Killer 7 and Nier Automata, Sekiro, and I've played none of them. This game is a problem for me. I've jokingly told people, yeah, I'm addicted to Nightreign, and I'm realizing now I don't think it was a joke. But I'm playing with a friend, so it's not a problem, right? Is this a video about social drinking? I mean, I don't know, but I think I might have to cut back on drinking a bit. I know bad habits are not a thing you remove. They are a thing you replace. You snack on fruit instead of chocolate. You drink seltzer water instead of alcohol. You drink green tea instead of black tea with sugar and milk. When I wrote this, I was at a coffee shop drinking jasmine tea instead of my usual matcha latte. I really like jasmine tea. I like the matcha latte a lot more. I hate comfortable. I hate that I fall into it constantly instead of challenging myself. I hate that what I find challenging becomes comfortable. Nightreign kicked my ass at first. Noise music used to be something that was unclear to me. Everything that was special for its edges loses them with time and familiarity. I moved again this January. Since November, I've just been in a really bad headspace. I went to 2 friends' weddings, one at the end of October, one at the beginning of November, and they were great. I made a list of how I can get my life back on track, and then I found out I had to move. That list was put on the back burner. So I turned to comfort since I couldn't find the energy. I had to get my life in order before I could get it on track. Today, as I was taking a shower, I felt the same exhaustion hit me that I felt after the last day of college finals. Like everything was done, and I could finally breathe again. I'm thinking of quitting my job again. I've been back at my job since my Pentiment video, but I'm not sure I can stay there anymore. My tax dollars are going to support all of this, and it's a hard time justifying that nightmare. I don't know how to be a modern person. I can save money to support my Switch between burning out and quitting, but I can't maintain working a job year after year. At times think this is the correct reaction to an incorrect world. So instead of thinking about the things wrong and how to improve my life, I just play Nightreign. I feel like this is the opposite of those Dark Souls cured my depression videos. Nightreign enabled me to ignore my problems by giving me fake hurdles to jump. If a Google Sheets document that says, spend 30 minutes a day working on that documentary, here are some small tasks to do, and you know how many times I've done that? I don't think I've done it more than twice. I'll watch probably 5 videos about Nightreign in a week, and then twice a week I'll fall asleep to them. Comfort isn't evil. This isn't a video saying feeling good is bad. Comfort has a place. But I recognize that what I am doing is not helpful. It is just numbing myself. It's this constant malaise. I've already tried to limit myself in my Nightreign playing, and hopefully when I write the next part of this essay, I'll have better things to say. Today is 3/6/2026. I've played Nightreign for 17 more hours. This isn't some woe is me, it's self-accountability. It's about my inability to balance distractions, which are necessary as this world burns faster, and the things I actually need to do. During this time, I've had a Deep of the Night run against Everdark Libra with randos in Depth 2, and I don't think I've gotten that much dopamine from a fight since Twin Princess in Dark Souls 3. I was laughing so hard after that fight. I entered it with white and blue weapons, only to get the double res on my 3-bar teammates, both of them, to clutch. And then my controller disconnected, forcing me to quickly swap over to mouse and keyboard, and I don't play mouse and keyboard. I don't know the controls. Followed by the rush of hearing my controller vibrate, meaning it had reconnected, and then I perfect dodged 3 attacks using keyboard, swapped back to controller, and got the victory. It was great. I've talked with my friend about potentially speedrunning this game with him, since the leaderboards are a bit bare, and he talked about introducing a friend of his to this game. More important, though, than the amount of Nightreign I played, I've made like 3 drafts for songs, I've read another book. Well, I reread a book that I've read in the past that encouraged me to make music in the first place, and now it's encouraging me again. And I've started weekly playing pool with some friends. I resolved that it might be time as well to look for better things again. I mean, I feel like every video I joke about quitting my job again, and now it feels like the right call. Take some time for myself, get some certificates, hopefully make myself more eligible for other jobs.
You're beautiful. Thank you. My beloved.
Today is March 20th, 2026. I now have 405.7 hours in Nightreign, which is less than 10 hours since my last checkup. One of those was a victory on Depth 3 with randos against balancers. It was 2 raiders and I was Iron Eye. He's not my main, but getting a poison bow with 3 ranged weapon attacks perks and then claws for the revive potential, pretty good. Good work, teammates. You were like B+ as far as your combat skills go, but S tier for callouts, revives, items. I also got 2 great hollow runs with that friend of mine, and they were maybe the most overpowered builds I've ever gotten. Getting a Rotten Glintstone Chris with a Magma Shot Adula's staff against Adel, and my teammate having Bloodfly's bow, we just melted him with status. I've also been at least twice a week working on my big, formerly a documentary project. Seems like it's going to be a book now, so that's going to be different. I still have to get footage for every game I mention in that book and then filter through that footage to get screenshots, but this is going to be easier than finding 8 more people to record text interviews to turn into audio interviews. I'm still planning probably on releasing a part of that as a video because part 1 is roughly done, so maybe that's just going to be the promotional thing. I also bought and beat the game Metal Eden, which is maybe the most hell yeah a game has ever been. Sadly, after beating it, I found out they used AI to generate 10 voice lines for one character, which is like, fuck, shit. I had a great time playing this game, the vibe was good, and now there's a massive shit stain on it. Afterwards, I heard about how they also laid off like most of their staff during the game's development shortly before it was released. 80% of their workforce that was laid off was 60 to 70 people. I don't know if this was because the studio was out of money because it took 7 years to make their second game and they were squeaking by on a micro staff, or if this was a studio head getting a company to consolidate profits before the release. At the same time, AI voice work, while I am not a fan of it, I feel like I've probably watched way too many reels in just a week where there's AI generated voices. This isn't an excuse for Metal Eden, I'm just calling myself a hypocrite. At this point, I think I feel comfortable saying that I am no longer addicted to Nightreign. It helps that I was hanging out with people every day this week, and that also means I've had alcohol every day this week. Shit, maybe this video is about social drinking. Well, I hit depth 4. I feel equally proud and ashamed. At this point, my relationship with this game feels healthier now that I am working on projects first and playing Nightreign fourth. I feel this game does provide me, to some extent, with a genuine benefit to my mental health, but I don't know. I think the damage it was doing was that I was using it to give me some sense of control in my life, some high-intensity thing to distract me from the rest of reality, a means of making myself temporarily dead to the world, and now that I'm doing better at keeping my life together, this game no longer feels like a problem. I do love the rush this game gives me. Playing in these higher depths forces me to once again take it seriously, and when a well-routed day is met with great rewards, this game just is so good. But that doesn't mean that I don't have a problem with finding games to fully disassociate to. It was a problem with Terraria, and just because I uninstalled it, it doesn't mean that we're on good terms. Nightreign's different for me than Terraria. And it is probably because a run is 36 minutes, and Terraria's goals of craft Zenith, the cell phone, and defeat all the bosses, and then go into hard mode and get every hard mode item, goes on forever. But maybe I'm doing better now. Okay, so I think I'm not actually quitting my job. I found an alternate way that will stop the bleeding. I'm going on a month-long leave of absence, unpaid. If they let me go, well, I guess they can have fun training my replacement, because I'm not going to. Today is 4/18/2026. When does this story end? Is it the last time I play Nightreign? When I go several weeks between playing? Or when I just feel my relationship to the game has changed? If it's the last one, I think I'm there. Am I there because I'm writing a video and once I stop I'll relapse? I mean, I hope not. But more likely I'll actually just find a new distraction and then restart that cycle, but if I'm lucky, it will take about a year before that happens again. I also fell out of Depth 4. I got to the highest rank of 5,150, and then had a series of losses against Everdark Libra. Even when I lose, I do still love this game, but at 432 hours, or exactly 18 full days, I think I'm satisfied. Do I wish I had managed to hit Depth 5? Somewhat for the bragging rights, but kind of also glad I don't, because wow, I think I'd feel so much shame if I committed that hard. I clutched a run against Everdark Marais under the unknown boss criteria, and it felt great. I also was hogging 2 Wending Graces because I felt like I had the highest damage and survivability of my 2 teammates, and I didn't even use either of them. So what's my resolution here? Is it just, I got over it this time, and I'll go through it all again? I don't know, really. Is it avoid roguelikes and multiplayer games because they provide you with hollow victories that don't provide you with any lasting sense of accomplishment that you get from actually making art or leaving your house. Probably. That is something I actually do have to be cautious about. But I think it isn't about what I need to avoid doing. It is about being continuous in doing things that I know that are good for me, things that bring me satisfaction. There is a place for Nightreign in my life, just like there is for my good friend whiskey. Getting intoxicated and singing karaoke is great. Getting cheers from the audience singing along with me feels amazing, but doing it every day would probably be bad for my liver. Vices are just a little treat we give ourselves when we need them. Shit, maybe this video is about social drinking. Times are rough now. I'm not going to police how people get through the day. We just have to make sure we aren't numbing ourselves to the world and missing out on real things. There's an amount of bad things we need to let ourselves feel. We need to let discomfort affect us. Shit. I was going to say why, but I don't really think I can say it better than we're human, and we need to let those feelings in to be fully human. Maybe it's just because it's hard to empathize when we aren't even aware of our own feelings. I'm not sure if I've told this story before, so I'll tell it now. As a child, I was very emotional. And so when I became a teenager, I tried to be less like that. I stuffed those feelings down, and then in the summer of 10th grade, I think it was, the dates are a bit hazy at this point, my pet cat, Little Mama, well, she hadn't been seen all of the last day, but she was an indoor and outdoor cat who had chosen us to be her main residence, and there's times when this had happened before, so I mean, we knew God would bring her home. One of our family friends was out of town, and me and my sibling would alternate which one of us would go with my mom to care for that cat, Nugget. I was alone at home and figured I would just go sit and wait outside in case Little Mama showed up. I was walking around my yard, and when I turned a corner to where the trash cans were, she was there, but half of her. I just started to mutter shit, 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 louder and louder, and I was alone at home. I went to the landline because I didn't have a cell phone, and I called my mom, and I stumble through the words, but they get the point and start driving home. I didn't cry. I was so numb at this point in my life, I didn't cry. That, or I was in denial of what I had seen with my own eyes, and I put on Cider Time by Lifeformed, and I laid in my bed looking at the ceiling, just needing to feel something. I laid there alone in my house, sacrificing this song to the idea that if I played it enough, I would feel something. Talking to myself, to God, asking why this happened and why it happened now. I remember us letting her outside for that night since, as we were renting, our landlord didn't allow pets. We had done every night, but she was sleeping on my bed that night before we kicked her out. That evening, when everyone was home, we gathered around the spot where she used to sleep in the yard, and we dug a hole, her remains in a shoebox, buried her, said some words, and eventually I broke down sobbing, snot dripping down my face. I can tell you with 100% certainty, the feeling of nothing was infinitely worse. My family moved out of that house sometimes. I wonder if the neighbors ever discovered that shoebox, and if they did, if they left the remains or exhumed them. And when my family left that house, Little Mama's son Tiger escaped his harness on a road trip. and on April 13th, 2026, I had a dream again of being at that house. Tiger was alive in that dream. And after waking up, I wrote, I saw you last night, where we used to live. The blinds were drawn. My family still lived in one state. I was a version of myself that never stepped foot into that house. You didn't say anything. You just sat on the washing machine and I picked you up and put you on my shoulder and you stayed there longer than you often would before you got wriggly and I set you down. It didn't pain me when I woke up to your absence this time to the same sharp degrees as the past. I still uttered a wish for death upon realizing you were truly gone, but it rang less true. I miss you. I think now it is safe to assume that even if you were taken in by some family, time would have claimed you now. Sorry, this got very serious for a video about Nightreign. I appreciate you sticking with me through this. And I hope you can find some relief through all of the discomfort of life. Thank you. And I hope you have a good day.